Blew it. There we go. That's better. Hello, everybody. We've gone live. We're like actually early. This never happens. We're always late, and I'm fully blaming him. It's Jan's fault.
All your fault.
That's not. It's good. Jan's got a hard stop at 3:00, so we're going to race through this like we've never raced through it before. No waffle this week. Just pure intellectual discourse and quality journalism. Right. Let's see how this goes. So thanks for joining us. WP Build's weekly WordPress news, the live edition. And today I'm joined two people. We were going to be four, but Paul Lacey has been unable to join us for reasons which I won't discuss. He's just busy with work. I just know that. So we're joined by Jan. Jan, introduce yourself, say who you are, and
hey guys,
all that good stuff.
I'm the host of the WP Agency Summit, which is coming up in October this year. And besides that, I also run the Ecom Services Summit and do some things around WP Mastery.
You are a busy man, and isn't it funny how when we do these introductions, we never talk about the elephant in the room, which is our families, which probably constrains absolutely everything that we do and really shapes the amount of time we've got to do all that stuff. But anyway, those of you that don't know, Jan is recently a father, and he's got busy fathering things to do very soon, so we'll crack on. Now, this is nice because every so often we get somebody new on the show. I've already forgotten how to pronounce his surname, so I'm just going to say Dovy. Dovy, hi, nice to have you on.
Hello there. Dovy Paukstys, Lithuanian.
That's it. That's right. Tell us about yourself. How are you involved in WordPress?
So I'm the Creative Redux Framework, a framework used by millions of websites on the web, including such themes as Avada, Salient, and others. Basically, I've built a framework that helps people make more successful products in the WordPress space.
We're going to get into that a little bit later because it was something that I confess I didn't know an awful lot about. So we're going to sort of hive off at some point and let Dovy just take the stand and just tell us what it's all about and all that goodness. But anyway, let's get stuck into the news. Just a couple of things before we begin. If you are here for anything other than this reason, we're going to talk about WordPress and what's happened in the last week. Just go away. You know, there's no point in being here because this is what we're doing. Yeah, there goes Jan, he's off. Didn't know. I thought it was about horses.
Just kidding.
Horses and babies. There we go. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. And if you want to make comments, if you're on the wpbuilds.com/live, you need to be logged into Google or YouTube to make comments. And if you're in the Facebook group, you have to click that little link in the description, streamyard.com/ I think it says Facebook, something like that. You got to click on that if you don't want to be anonymous. You might want to be anonymous, in which case don't click the link and we'll just see a user 4873942 or something like that. Right, so that's what we're talking about. Totally my bad. Yeah, it was your fault. Okay, let me share the screen. There it is. Dovy has got pride of place right at the bottom this week. And if anybody writes a long comment, it's going to be his face, which is disguised by the comment. Yeah, this is not a long one. Hello to all. Looking forward to a great discussion. Well, Heinrich, I'm sorry you've come to the wrong place. But we're going to discuss anyway. No, I should be more sanguine. Thank you, Heinrich, for joining us. As always, very nice to have you. So this is us. We are, hello from Cyprus. Wow. Hello, George. Nice to have you with us. We're going to be talking about WordPress. This is our main website, wpbuilds.com. Loads of links at the top. I'm going to be quick this week. We've got a subscribe link. It looks like that. We've got a job link. It looks like that. We've got a deals link. It looks like that. This is the news archive. We're going to be talking about this one, which has got jellyfish on it. And this is what it looks like. Couldn't have gone that quicker if I tried. The first piece of news, we're always talking about WordPress Core right off the bat, and this is it, WordPress 5.5, possibly the most exciting WordPress release in years, I reckon. Yeah, that's it. It really is. It's really good. So obviously this is just to say we've got a release candidate, right? This is, if you're into beta testing, go to this page, the one in the top of the show notes, click on that, get yourself signed up. It's coming out in quick maths, 8 days. Is that wrong? I think it's wrong. It's 8 days.
It's
No,
right.
it is 8 days. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they just want people to get eyeballs on it and just check that it is in fact up to scratch. But mainly, if it's a release candidate, we're hoping that it is. Next link in the show notes comes to this one, though, where we get a little bit more insight from the laudable Justin Tadlock, talking to us about some new features which have dropped. And if you're a theme author, which it just so happens we have somebody today who really knows that stuff inside out, then this might have been important to you. But let's talk about very quickly, we've got auto updates for plugins and themes, contentious, but I think ultimately good. There's something to do with the HTML changes for the custom logos. You've got to change some kind of hook or something. Block patterns. This is the coolest thing in WordPress Core since
Sliced bread.
Since they started slicing bread. And also, forget it. What do we care about line heights? Nobody cares about line heights when there's block patterns to talk about. Let's do this one first, though, right? Let's do auto
Let's hope
update.
Picha didn't hear that, Nathan.
Oh, yes. I suck it all back in. Sorry, Picha. Line heights are very important. Just not in the context of this article. That's all I should have said. Right. So what about this auto updating business? It's obviously everything's going to auto update. There's a massive compulsion for plugin authors and theme authors to get it right before they submit their changes to the repository. From a security point, all good. From a breaking point, maybe we're going to go through a few weeks of like plugin authors and theme authors mucking it up for us. I don't know. What do you think? Over to you.
Yeah, Dovy, I think you wanted to say something.
Oh, as far as the updates, yeah. So the updates are really cool. If you've tried out the new plugin, it basically allows you to click a button to choose what updates you want. And I think that's really, really powerful, especially when you're talking about blocks that are ever changing. That makes it really a no-brainer because let's face it, every block plugin right now is updating every week because they're trying to add features and compete as quickly as possible. In addition to auto updates, there's also the upload a plugin to initiate an update. So if you ever had a site where you wanted to not do auto updates or you're behind a VPN or anything like that, where you couldn't access the public web, now you can actually update an existing plugin instead of saying the file already exists. That's not really helpful. I think it will help users long-term to have these features, but it's just, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how many plugin developers break sites because they don't always check things.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of that. I mean, it's hard. So I hope that there will be a way for developers to eventually, the next iteration, put a way to say this is almost a required update, a guaranteed, or this is an alpha update. But right now it's just auto update or not.
I kind of feel like this is probably one of the two big things. So we've got the stuff that we'll talk about in a minute with block patterns, but I can't see a smooth way into this. You just have to enable this feature, right? You've just got to go for it, as in Core has just got to go for it. There's no let's ramp this up for 6 months and see if we can get a proportion of users using it. It's just get it over with and see how it works. But yeah, the concern, as you've said, is that stuff just goes horrendously wrong. And of course, you and I and all of us watching this, we're considerably into WordPress, so we're watching things like this and we see it happening. I'm just slightly concerned about the people who have just using WordPress, sort of mom and pop store, somebody who's just got a blog that they use, and this suddenly all just starts happening to them, and they've no idea what's gone wrong, and support goes berserk.
Now, that being said, I am going to say this: WordPress Core has had a way to silently push updates for emergencies. They've had it for a while. And so if there is a big enough problem, hopefully they'll open that up as a potential for theme and plugin developers to push a urgent update more. Right now, it's very seldom used, right? But this will give that potential necessity for other people to use.
Yeah. And I think in the long term, the biggest benefit is security. So especially for those mom and pop shops who don't install updates because they don't know what they're doing, if that just runs automatically and they have like the main players and from plugin developers in there, like Yoast and other stuff, who usually do their homework before they release a plugin update, then I think we'll see a much bigger upside than downside with this.
Yeah, like this is the kind of thing that in a year's time we'll look back and think that was a great thing that we did the community really needed this, and WordPress itself will be much more robust. And let's
So
be
all
honest,
developers will hate this probably.
yeah, all yeah. But the hackers aren't getting any worse. Attacks only get better. And so if we can figure out, and it does seem every week we're droning on about plugins that have been hacked. And so if we can get everybody onto the latest version of everything. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to this one then. This is, okay, I'm sure you know what this is, but think page builder. Think about modules, or in Elementor's case, elements that you drag in. It's pre-configured bits of, well, rows, let's say. You drag in a testimonials bit, or you drag in a hero bit, and it's just built out already for you. Well, Gutenberg doesn't have anything like this. You've just got individual blocks, and it's pretty awkward to put them in the right places. So block pattern solves this. Block pattern is a collection of blocks pre-configured, and it's coming really soon. And this feels like the moment for me. Been droning on about Gutenberg since November 2017, 18, something like that. And this was the thing I was hoping would finally happen. There's a lot more to come, but are you excited about this? Do you think you'll make use of it? Are you too entrenched in your page builder? Do you do it all by hand? What's going on? Is this good news?
So of course it's good news. This is going to be actually really huge. There are a little bit of gotchas here, though. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops. The concept of a page block patterns is great. Be able to submit a simple block pattern plugin to the repository and have it appear automatically in people's panels. So people can literally search for a block that they've never touched before and see it in a discovery network, which is great. The question will be is how does that transition to a monetization or something that's sustainable, right? Because right now there's absolutely no advertising permitted. So you can install a block from anybody. You don't know who really to support or any details about that other than it's there. It just can't advertise. So even though there's a plugin installed on your dashboard, you have no way how to contact that company and potentially get their premium offerings. So that'll be interesting. But the use of having blocks accessible, I mean, this is a step in that direction, a step towards something where we could truly turn Gutenberg into more than just an experiment, right? Into a functioning product.
And it will be interesting to see how cluttered up websites get.
Yeah.
All these plugins.
Yeah. It's been fairly, like, the process of installing a plugin, whilst not difficult, in fact, probably the industry's best way of doing it. But it's still go to this screen, find it, upload it, activate it, all of that. And it's a bit fraught with hassle. And that's a good impediment, right? It stops people going nuts, like 12, quickly. And I'm just wondering if the ease of use here might end up being its downfall. You know, you've got 33 blocks to do that one thing. Really? Okay. We'll see.
Which one? Oh, I don't like that page header, so I want to get that page header. Oh, you misspelled it by one character.
But
I don't install the plugins, the patterns that I don't use anymore. I just keep them for reference because I might use them in the future.
Yeah. The other thing is the UI will feature opportunities for displaying what's on the page, if I understand correctly. I seem to remember something like that from a few months ago. There was going to be something somewhere in the blocks.
So
UI
the new
looks...
Gutenberg has an automatic preview of blocks, and so essentially they have a declaration, so you can preview inside your site how that exact block is going to appear before it gets implemented. And while that's all well and good, remember that there are still compatibility issues that you'll have to wade through. Some themes, like 2020 and others, add their own custom styles to universal things like full width or align right, which interact and conflict with blocks. But in whole, you'll get a general preview of what occurs before it's imported to your site, which is nice.
Yeah, there's no downside here. It's all good. I think this is going to be phenomenal. Okay, so very exciting. As I said, there's a few other things. The most important being line height. I think I dodged that bullet. And then there's the accessible widgets navigation. But hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. I think WordPress is about to get a lot more exciting by the end of this year. And then, by the end of this year, full site editing. Oh, I'm getting excited. I might have to just take a quick drink of water to calm me down.
Or is that the 15th coffee that you just had?
Yeah, this is number 7, I think, today. Not a good number. Let's not talk about it too much. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to this one. Staying with WP Town, staying with Justin Tadlock, Gutenberg 8.6. This is quite nice. So Gutenberg 8.6, which will obviously be landing very, very soon. Well, in fact, it has quietly landed, according to Justin. Just a couple of nice little updates. If you have been using Gutenberg, there's this focal point picker where you can, with images, you've been able to decide, give me that bit in focus. Show me the bottom left or the top right or whatever. Now you can do that with videos, video backgrounds. I'm not sure how that works, but that's what it looks like. You can see, obviously, somebody selected this, and there it is, right? This is what it's going like. So that's nice. We've also got updated block patterns. We've just talked about that. Essentially, it's the same thing. Possibly the most important thing is this. The site icon is going to be used in full screen mode so that it's even more confusing why that box is there. And that's about it. But what do you think? Gutenberg 8.6, anything exciting in there for you or no?
It's the block patterns are the best, right?
Yeah,
That's the main focus. The other stuff are nice features. It's really interesting to see how much it ends up being a division between what block user or block creators are doing and what the Gutenberg core chooses to do. I hope that we find a synergy there so that Gutenberg or the team behind it, has a line where they draw on the sand and says, this is what we're doing, just so that there's not so much crossover. And I think they're trying to do that, but we'll see.
We will. Anything to add to that, Jan?
Nope.
Okay, in which case, let's scuttle on forwards. So the next one is community. This is our little community section, and I want to mention Big Orange Heart. This may be something you've come across before. It may not be, but Big Orange Heart do this remote. Well, they've done it once before. And in 2019, they gathered lots of data from, I can't remember how many people, but it was a significant amount. It was the kind of amount that when you hear that number, you often hear it in terms of like political, people on the BBC talking about, oh, Gallup did a survey of this many people. Oh, that sounds credible. And it's the same. So there was a lot of people surveyed in the mental health survey last year, and some pretty alarming stuff came out. I don't know if anybody listening to this can identify, but 8% of the WordPress community said that they'd had suicidal thoughts in the last 12 months. 47% of the marketplace, the workplace that they have makes them feel anxious. And 56% said that they work alone. And so WordPress has the Big Orange Heart community available to them, but they want to know where they should put their resources in the year to come. And so please just go and click on this button here and you can fill out the survey. It's really fun to do. It's done with a sort of chatbot style thing. It takes about 4 minutes. Everything's completely anonymous. You don't have to give away anything at all. And it's well worth doing. So yeah, props to Big Orange Heart. I know you're a supporter, Jan.
Yeah. I think the work that Big Orange Heart is doing is so important and so underrated. And even though we feature them quite regularly with the Cloudways webinars and talk about mental health and well-being and that stuff, it's not even remotely talked enough about. So I'm just glad that we're bringing this up here. And I've done the survey already, so why not everybody else watching this do it too?
Yeah. In fact, you could be filling it out whilst you're watching this, and it would be completely easy to do both at the same time. So yeah, it just feels like there's really this. If there was a moment we needed this kind of support, this is it. Everybody's locked at home. Even the people who used to go to work in an office and what have you, they're all stuck at home. So yeah, please go and help WP and Up as it was, now Big Orange Heart. Understand what the needs are a bit better. I'm sorry, George, I missed your comment. This is obviously to do with block patterns and auto updates. In fact, we're going to have lots of WooCommerce fun. Yeah, I think you're right.
Everyone needs a block pattern. If you don't, you're going to get left behind. If you're not adapting into that world, I mean, who will want to use the old MetaBox way? They won't.
No, there'll be some diehards. There'll be some diehards. Do you remember Classic Press? Whatever happened to that? Okay, right. WordCamp. Oh, this is sad. This is sad but understandable. WordCamp US has cancelled in its entirety. So a lot of the conferences that were planned for next year have gone online, which is understandable. But WordCamp US have decided to cancel every vestige of it for next year. Sorry, for this year. It was due to take place. Isn't it normally November? The November time, something like that. Oh, it says October. There you go. Right at the end of October. So I wasn't too far wrong. It was due to take place. Obviously, COVID got in the way, but then they just decided, let's just let everybody take time away. They're talking about online event fatigue being a thing. And so they've decided just cancel it all, just give everybody their time back, so that everybody can just take a break. It was quite interesting. If you read the whole thing, some of the organizers felt a bit like they've been dropped in it a bit. One guy who remains nameless, I think. Here we go. Requested to remain anonymous, said that he'd spent 100 hours on WordCamp US this year and felt a little bit cheesed off that it had been announced. Whereas other people had the opposite opinion, do it early, get in early, let everybody know. A shame, but it's the reality, right? This is what we've got for the foreseeable.
I mean, depression is way up right now with the whole world as it is. I'm not shocked or surprised. I think that we're going to have to shift as a community to support and understand and be able to do more online presentations, because honestly, I don't see things changing within the next year fully. But it will be interesting to see. And I don't blame the team at all. Honestly, everybody who contributed time and hours, thank you for your efforts. I mean, that is a sacrifice, unfortunately, that won't be rectified, but thank you. And those who were struggling with it, and I'm glad that they got the relief they needed in this trying time.
Yeah. And I think what also plays a role into this is the experience with WordCamp Europe that wasn't, I think from the sponsor's perspective, wasn't too good. So maybe there was a bit lack of monetary support for a virtual event. And I think that, as stated in the article, the online events missed the opportunity of connecting people as physical events do. So I think it's quite a challenge to pull up an event that brings people together as good, or even just 50% as good as physical events do. So again, kudos for making the decision to not run a virtual event. So I don't agree with online event fatigue, though.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's not nearly as big as they stated it is.
It is interesting, actually, isn't it? The way that we're trying to go for a model with online events, aren't we? And Jan, you've obviously got a load of experience in this area, where we sort of try to mimic the real world in the online event. In other words, we try to have these little breakout spaces, and and then there's the main stage, and it's all. What was that thing that Apple had where they tried to mimic the real world in their UI? I've forgotten the name for it. But
augmented reality, where you have the avatars that could meet in a virtual space.
Yeah. All of that kind of stuff. But I was thinking, like, their calendar app pretended to be made of like leather with stitching in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they try to mimic the real world on a screen, and I wonder. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I wonder if we just need somebody to just innovate completely out of the box, something totally different from. I don't know what that means, but trying to mimic the real world is.
I saw Facebook do something like this with Oculus when they bought Oculus. They were really big in having these 3D avatars, like real persons as digital avatars that you could meet with on Mars, in Mark Zuckerberg's office, in whatever space you wanted, essentially, and just had virtual meetings. But you would need an Oculus Rift for that, obviously.
Yeah, my son plays Fortnite, and they have these events, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a bit cheesy watching it because they haven't quite figured out the dancing avatars. It looks a bit weird, but there it is. It's like the real world writ large on a screen. And if you had an Oculus tied to that, I'm not sure that's where I'm going either, but just something a little bit less contrived, I don't know. Anyway, Chris saying, I think they must have realized that we'll all be zoomed out by October. I can't deal with any more Zoom sessions already. Yeah. And Leo, I feel meetups are working online, but WordCamps, I miss being in the room where it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, one day we'll get back to the room. Okay, so next little thing, let me just check. Yep, that was all we had in the community section. Then we're going to go for plugins, themes, and blocks. Dovy, before we finish this section, fully interrupt me so that we can talk about Redux. But I'll go through a few things on here that I thought was nice. Anybody using Fluent Forms, this new incumbent, which I really like in this space? They've got a few new improvements. They're on 3.6. I confess I've not heard of Automizy, but they've integrated with them. They've got conditional email routing so that you can sort of say, if this field has been filled in, write this in the email, which is quite nice. And various other things. You can see all about it in here, but it's a significant update. I think these guys are going at a real clip, and I really like their product, so I'm shouting out to them. Another one, if nobody wants to talk about that, can I just rattle through these quick?
Go for it.
Is that all right? Brizy, they missed out 1.0. They never did 1 point anything. They went straight from 0 point something into
They
2.
were actually out there. They just didn't really announce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
They were actually, I'm going to give them full credit. They were an inspiration in some ways to the new version of Redux. They have a great platform. It's interesting, though. They're trying to create their own block editor. So they're supporting Gutenberg, but not really. So it's an interesting take.
I really like the UI.
It's pretty.
It is, and it's right where the mouse is. You know, so you don't have to scroll over to the side. It's just there. You click on the thing, and everything's right at hand. Anyway, they've reached 2.0, and there's a ton of stuff. I mean, it really is. It's almost like block patterns. You know, that's seismic. This, I think, is seismic for them. They've got global block conditions, headers, footers, that kind of thing. Brizy sync, so you can sync because they've got a SaaS platform and a WP plugin. Those two, you can now sync your saved rows and things over both ways, which is nice. They've got a mega menu builder, which you literally just build in the UI. Again, it looks really cool. There's no fiddling with like WordPress menus. You just do it in the UI. Lottie elements, nice way of styling tables. You can save things in draft, which is quite nice. So if you make a change, you can save it in draft, even though the page is published. So you just draft save the bit that you've just updated. And then when you're finally happy with it, you can click publish, which I think is quite nice because there's a lot of time.
Handy,
yeah, I could have used that a lot in all sorts of ways. And then you can see a load of other things. Absolute positioning. Don't do it. Anyway,
relative above, that's fine.
yeah. Anyway, really nice amendments. So Brizy 2.0, go check it out. Anybody? Shall I just crack on?
Yep.
Go on.
Okay. Malcare. Don't really know what to say about this because I just don't know enough about website security. But they are making the claim in this article that they can now fix things by literally you just go.
They do,
and
they saved the website from a friend of mine.
Nice.
I was looking at that, and it had I think 15 malicious files. I found a few of them via SFTP, but I wasn't sure that I found all of them, so I installed Malcare. And they removed 15 files in total, cleaned up the database, took like 5 minutes in one click.
And there was no human interaction. It was just...
Not at all. Just a bar, as if you were watching a backup being completed. Really
and so
nice.
What does it do? Does it just sniff around in that time? Does it take your site into maintenance mode during that time? Or
no, it doesn't. It doesn't, as far as I know. So what they do is they check the file system for any malicious files that shouldn't be there. And they compare the original file versions from the official repositories to the files you have on your server so that they can find injected code. And then they do some stuff in the database too. So that's far beyond what I understand, but they do a good job with that.
And I want to point out that Kinsta does this as well. So in my space, I have to do a lot of testing, right? And sometimes I do acquire things on sites, right? But I uploaded a test file to try and figure it out, and it did have malware in it, and Kinsta automatically cleaned it out. I think this is a really big space, and I think every host needs to do it, and I love products like this that are making it a safer place because, let's be honest, WordPress is the most targeted software out there, being 30% of the world's internet, right?
Yeah, really. That's so cool that well, not only am I delighted that one of us on the panel has actually used it, but I'm pleased that we have been able to sort of like mention it as well. So that's great. Oh, that's fabulous. I just don't know what voodoo is going on here, but that is amazing, and the fact that you know about it. So if we just sort of scroll up here, literally, it looks like you get some kind of warning which says hacked, and then you just click auto clean. Nice.
Yeah.
And wait for like 5 minutes and everything's cool. Because don't Malcare, if I'm right, they're backing up your site pretty much constantly, right? And
There's
putting it
Block
on their infrastructure.
I think that's Block Vault. What you mean?
Is it not? They're not the same thing.
No, it's two different products. They
Same
are
company,
owned by the same
different-
company.
yeah.
Akshat and team run both of them, but they are technically different.
He was on last week when I was on holiday.
Ah.
Which is a bit of a blow because I'd really like to have spoken to him about it. We'll get him back. So he can tell us about it. But yeah, okay. Right. Well done, though, guys. That looks really good. This is interesting. Oh, have we done that one? Yeah, we've done that one. So Toolset, a couple of new things to mention. Toolset have redesigned the structure of the database tables in types 3.4, and it's all to do with WPML, or at least multilingual, which is their sister product. So you'll be able to create multilingual files in a much more easy way. Read that article. There's literally that much to read. But the other one to mention is that they're after some beta testers for version 1.3 of Toolset Blocks, which is like all the other blocks. They're integrating heavily, getting all of their views and all of that stuff as blocks. And obviously they've made some kind of update. So if you're using Toolset, go check that out. Kind of like this. This is kind of a nice thing. Obviously, I publish a lot of content. This is Publish Press. Never used it. But if I was in a team, this would be gold, because it enables you to set constraints on the publishing of a post. So you basically say it's got to be 500 words minimum. It's got to have 3 tags. It's got to have, I don't know. You just set a bunch of constraints and say it can't be published until that point. And now, if you're using Yoast, it's not allowed to be published unless it meets Yoast's green light criteria. Pretty good, right? Quite like that. So, you know, if
I can see many VAs benefiting from this.
Yeah.
Like when you have VAs and ghostwriters and stuff, that's really helpful.
Well, it's going to be annoying in the short term, right? Because it's going to be unpublishable. But just publish.
Oh, no,
Just
you
for
have
the person
writing the
job.
code.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, but it won't publish. That's because you haven't taken enough time to get it right. Anyway, I just thought it was a really nice little update from them. So props. This I really like. This is Bing. I mean, I confess, I reckon I've searched on Bing 3 times in my life.
True.
I'm all in on Google. But if I was using Bing, this is great. So, nice new plugin. The second you update anything on your WordPress website, it tells Bing.
So I installed it on Redux. It works really well. Again, I don't use Bing myself, but there might be some people who do. But I think this is something that Google should invest in too, because it would be so much easier than a bot constantly crawling my website to just tell them when there's an update. I mean, saves resources all around.
Yeah. Did you see an spike in search traffic coming from Bing? Is the time enough yet?
I haven't really tried, but I do. It is really nice. It is instantaneous. It's just an API call. This page changed. Update.
Okay, so very lightweight.
Very lightweight.
I was going to say, I suspect a spike coming from Bing is like 2, even on like a heavy traffic site. Be interesting to know how many people click on the Bing link for Google. They go to Bing to find
all
where
know
Google
that.
is.
Look at Leo's last comment.
What does he say? Oh no, that's not Leo. That's Leo. I use Bing on a PC to test. Yeah,
and that's the truth. The most people who use Bing are those who haven't installed Chrome or haven't changed their default search engine. It's vendor lock-in in essence.
Oh, and you probably won't get this one, Dovy, but each week, Kinster is a sponsor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, and each week the joke. I don't know how this joke started, but basically everybody just shouts Kinster in the comments. There's been a notable lack of shouting of Kinster in the comments this week, but you did it for us. So, yes.
Well,
Nice.
I'm using them. They're stable. They're great. They use Google.
Yeah. But I do, getting back to this article, very cool. Just such a great idea to know that you made an amendment, no matter how small it was. It might be super important that that one word is gone, is obliterated from the internet. You know, you just put your foot in your mouth and you just need to know that's gone. And now on Bing, it will be, which is just fabulous. So props to them. And this is WPM UDev's Forminator. Again, not entirely familiar with this. I'm guessing this is a third-party service, but the intention here is that they link up with Fortress DB for your form entries in WPM UDev's Forminator, and it shoves it onto Google's cloud, encrypts it, keeps it safe. That's the idea. And I've thought about this loads. I've just thought, you know, how many emails are flowing through these forms? And although things like Gravity Forms allow you to expunge it all now, I'm still thinking, don't know about this. And I do like the idea of it being encrypted in that way. That's nice. And also you can e-sign now in Forminator like that. There it is. See
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, Dovy, it's you. You're on.
Two things. First, we should load the stackable. I do think this is interesting enough to load really quick, just because it's a unique innovation. So Stackable released a new feature just recently while you're loading that up that basically allows you to lock the design of a template completely, but allow the users to edit the content. So say you're the marketing agency and you've created this beautiful page and you want to allow a grunt person to go in and update some content. Now you can without them being able to change any of the Gutenberg stuff. So it's almost like a page template to a theme, but in Gutenberg. It's rather interesting, and there's just a lot of innovations. I just thought that was unique and it deserved a call out.
So what is it? So are you talking about this role manager that I've got on the screen now, right? So on what level does it lock them out? On a per block level, or?
Yeah, on a per block level, the design for the block. So they can only update the content.
That's really
that is nice. We've got a lot of workarounds for that in the page builder space, things like Wallace Inline and what have you.
Yeah, Benjamin over there is leading a good team. Stackable has some unique features, and most of Redux.io is built with Stackable. So
on this image that we can see, it seems to toggle between content only and full editing. That's what you get. It's binary. It's those two things, right?
Right.
That's nice. And is that by default? Does it switch on? Do you know how it defaults when you install it?
I'm not exactly sure. It's just something they announced, but I was like, that is innovative. That is unique.
That's nice.
That solves a real problem.
Well, just 90% of what's on the website never needs touching, right? It's just that little bit of text over there, or they change address, or their phone number changes. Sorry, I've deleted something. How do I get it? Oh, really? Yeah, this would solve that. That is nice. Okay, that's great. And let me just grab this link as well. Copy link URL. Let's shove it over here. So this is you. This is your stuff. Tell us about this. Go on, go soup to nuts if you like. I'm really interested.
Redux framework is a framework utilized by millions of websites out there. If you've touched a theme that has a style like Avada or Enfold or a bunch of them out there, the black bar in the side control panel, that is Redux. We have 900,000 WordPress.org installs, but according to that, that's only 0.05% of our opt-in tracking. So our user base is so much larger. And what people have done is, back in the day, I wanted to build a theme with Ari, creator of Kirky, if you've heard of that framework as well.
Yeah, I think it was bought recently, wasn't it? By David Von Gries from Page Builder.
Super happy for him. Now, Kirky, before Kirky, there was Shoestrap, and he and I worked on that. We were building a theme, an open source theme that would use Bootstrap very well. And I started tinkering with some of the frameworks and realized, I hate how all these option panels work. So I forked and went my way to create Redux, and he continued with Shoestrap and eventually into the Kirky world. But the concept of Redux was, let's make it extremely easy to build a product. Anything the user touches to interface with your theme or plugin was Redux. So we had user meta, a customizer, option panels, everything. And we even have dynamic CSS output. But where we really soared was when we started to absorb different frameworks. NHP and SMOF, Smart Option Framework. I don't know if any of you remember those. Shamil helped to make Smart Option Framework. They were the inspiration, and because they had lost support, we created a framework that has grown to be massive, right? It's 6+ years old. So Redux 4, we looked at the code and we realized that, this is all junk. It was, piecemealed over years, you build something and you got to redo it. So we have spent the past 2 years rewriting the entire framework wherein the blocks came, right? And we said, how are we going to adapt? Because to be quite honest, option frameworks are going away. Option panels are going away. With the world of blocks, I see that as the future. And so we built inside Redux not only a complete rewrite of the code base and things like automated Google fonts and stuff like that, really powerful tools and bringing it up to WordPress standards, but we implemented this new template library. If you actually go to templates.redux.io, we saw the value of templates and we created a way for people to implement in any theme templates. And we went out there and we found some of the best templates out there and we implemented them in our own way with an integrated plugin installer. So you can think of the new Redux as a block discovery utility. So if a template like Quibbly out there or Stackable has templates, we put it in the directory so you can see what's possible, both sections and pages. These templates that you see are our own hybrid templates that include multiple products. So like up to 5 different blocks per template. And we basically said, what could we do with the templates that are out there? Could we make it possible to mimic that site or remake this in Gutenberg? And we built them. And that's what we have here is an entire library over 1,000 elements that people can import and implement in any theme immediately. That's
it is nice. The numbers, my jaw, I had to sort of mop up some spit. 900. I'm not even going to repeat.
We had 300,000 downloads in the past week since I've done the update.
Man, that is amazing. Yeah. So, okay, let me just scroll through a few of these. So this just goes on forever, right?
It goes on
forever. Reach the end of this.
It would probably be faster while we're talking for you to install the plugin. Try it, but let's suffice us to say there's a lot here, right?
Oh, so this is cool.
You can create 700 different sections, 300 different full page templates. You can go in and implement things. We do have a demo built in, so you have 5 templates, free templates you can import. Afterwards, we ask you to activate, which creates the account so we can manage metrics and see what templates are being used, stuff like that. But essentially, you get 600 plus free sections and pages you can implement today. And if you're missing a plugin that uses that template, we automatically install it for you and help you to go through the entire process. We notify you at every step. And it's really fun. I think what's going to happen with the block world is you've been talking about page templates or the pattern, right? Block patterns.
Yeah, block patterns. Yeah.
This is a step further. This is block templates. It's not just a simpler pattern. We do have sections, which are patterns, right? A block that goes on a page. But what I wanted to do is create the opportunity for people to know what is possible, not just be locked into a single blocks design.
Go ahead. Sorry, go on. No, you carry on.
No, I feel like there are a lot of beautiful things that people are doing, but the real power is when there's synergy, when you use blocks together to choose the best pieces of everything and bring it together. You can create some amazing stuff. It
does feel to me like this was the purpose, right? This, just look at this list here. The the interoperability of it, because we've got this one architecture which is behind everything. The fact that, I mean, look at these things. You've got ACF blocks, and I've heard of thousands of these, atomic blocks, cadence blocks, all these different ways, and you can suck it all in. Stackable, we've just been talking about. You can suck it all in through Redux.
Yeah.
Redux.
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 Either
Sorry.
way. But yeah, exactly. So the thing is, if a theme or plugin has a template library, we pull it in. If they have templates that are premium, we then encourage the user to go download the premium because they can't use those templates unless we detect that they have that premium version. So we're not destroying anyone's profit model, right?
Yeah.
But what we're giving people is, rather than having to search, or rather than having to build an entire template themselves, they can look at beautiful pictures, preview what it would look like, click a button, it does it all for them.
Nice. This was what we wanted, right? This was
impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really impressive.
I think it's great.
Yeah. We're going to have you back, or certainly we'll have to do some sort of screencast or something where you can actually show how it works. Oh, that's so good. Thank you. And just if your appetite has been whet, redux.io/pricing. You probably saw me raise this page a minute ago. There's what you get: $49 for one site, 3 sites, 99, 100 sites, 249. Wow, that's cool.
And the interesting thing is that 249 also, we had premium extensions before for our developers, like our meta boxes, user meta, advanced customizer. That's the level now for developers to implement Redux Pro, or basically get all of our extensions at one price. We used to do piecemeal, one at a time. It's a hard model to support. So we're going to just a single product.
What a nice piece of kit. That's great. I'm going to miss out all the deals. Actually, do you know what? I'll just quickly mention them. Let's do it that way. A few deals that I came across this week. PW, this is interesting. Got slammed in AppSumo comments, but this is on AppSumo. PWA for WP. It's a plugin which allows you to basically stick a home page icon on your phone and pretend that you've got an app. Whereas in fact,
it's actually pretty cool. I think
you've done it. You've used it.
I'm testing this out right now because I have to build a PWA for a client. And what is cool is that it has this preload functionality. So you have to be very careful with this. But essentially, what you can do is, when somebody comes to your website and installs it as an app on the home screen, in the background, you can download all the pages on your website to the app, so that when that visitor is offline, he can still use your website with all the contents. Whereas usually what would happen is you only see the pages that you've visited before, because those are then cached on the mobile device. But with that, you can have all the contents, which is the crux. Yeah, it is nice, but it's also dangerous because it soaks up data volume like nobody's business.
Yeah. Use it with care. Because I've got on my phone quite a few SaaS apps which purport to have a mobile app, and it's clearly just this. It's a wrapper, and it's painful compared to the experience of a native app. But that is interesting if it loads in advance. That's cool, and I'm pleased again that you've played with it. That's so good. It was getting slammed in the comments on the first day. That's all I know, because maybe it was an inexperienced user who ran into the problem, which you've no doubt solved. Okay, so that's cool. Give WP 20% off. We were just talking about Qubly blocks, or Queebly blocks, however you pronounce it.
And if you buy 3 subscriptions, you get a lifetime unlimited site subscription to that.
For Qubly.
Yeah, so if you do like 148, it's unlimited forever for any sites. And
Nice. And then, the usual stuff. There we go. Right, let's do quick, very, very quick go at this security. We never talk about this. Yeah. We just mention it, don't we? Never heard of it, but WP Discuss, not even Discuss. Is that Discuss? Like the commenting system? Is that what we're talking about here?
It's an alternative to that. It's essentially the same model, but hosted on your WordPress, whereas Discuss itself is a third-party service.
Right. Anyway, plugins that you've never heard of with 80,000 installs. The floor allows unauthenticated attackers the ability to upload arbitrary files, including PHP files, and achieve remote code execution on vulnerable servers. So if you've heard of it, go sort it quickly.
Imagine somebody coming to your site using your comments, uploading a PHP file, gaining control over your web hosting account. That's essentially what happens.
Yeah. Go check it
again and again and again and again.
Yeah. And then
the history of WordPress.
Then you can go and click the button in Malcare. And then they can come back, and then you can click the button in Malcare. Exactly. Tennis, security tennis. I've just invented a new sport. Right, let's not dwell. David Wormsley and I did a podcast episode this week. It was all about, should we get content first or content later? Who knows? We debate it from both points of view. As always, he's right and I'm always wrong. So basically whatever he says. But it was interesting, actually, to be fair. It was quite an interesting debate. Should you be vigilant and say, I'm not doing anything until you give me all the stuff, or be much more cavalier and say, yeah, all right, I'll get started, and then regret it later? Listen to the podcast, find out what we think. Also, just to say, this week I have got episode 7. Where did that come from? Episode 7. This is me and Sabrina Zidane. It isn't on that page yet because that's what we're on. But we're doing episode 7 of our 0 to 10K installs plugin journey. It's been a lot of fun. And then I'm chatting with Peacher on Wednesday. We're doing a UI UX session live on Wednesday. So live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Check it out. Haven't got any jobs for you this week. I've only just started it. But if you do have a job that you've heard of, please post it there. And I'll put it on the website, on the WP Builds thing, and we'll talk about it in the news. It's totally free, it's just for the fun of it, just for the community. And then we've got stuff about AMP and Google Search Consoles. Does anybody want to talk about that? I don't.
Nope.
No.
AMP.
Not really.
Yeah, let's not then. We can finish early.
Wow, started early and finished early.
Never, ever before finished early. Let's just see if we've got any comments before we knock it on the head. There's quite a lot of comments, but I probably missed a lot of them out. Let's go back, rewind. Chris says he likes stackable.
Me too.
Nice. Yeah. And we're talking here about Bing. Chris again. My worry is that the expectations, Bing would update immediately. The truth is you've got no power over the mighty Bing. You've just got the power to tell them.
Explain that to your customers,
Yeah. But I installed a plugin. Yeah, all right. Be nice if they honored that, though, right? Imagine if they did actually commit to that. As soon as you click that button, we will update our SERPs. That would be quite a game changer for me. I'd be quite pleased to do that. And there's this bloke, Jan Koch. I've never heard of him.
Who's he?
I don't know. Gives website owners the feeling of being in control. What was this about? Oh, is this the
Bing plugin?
The Bing argument.
The Bing thing. Paul Lacey's gone to Edge. He's dropped Chrome. He says it's much less CPU intensive. You're on it as well, Jan.
I'm tinkering around with it, but I'm not using it as my daily.
It seems to me, Jan, that every time we talk about something, you're currently playing around with it. What? You're just fingers in.
You just get to play all day. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
That's because I don't need to make money.
Must be nice.
Yeah, that would be. Oh, imagine that. Cameron, all the way over in Australia. I hope you're taking a pay cut for finishing early.
Wait, there's payment?
Jan doesn't need
who's getting paid?
Jan doesn't need pay. He's just told us. Jan pays me.
I do. I have 6 kids.
Only 3.
I have to catch up with that. Yeah.
Yeah. See, no Lacey, Peacher, Vito, or me, and fast and professional. Yeah, you see, Vito Peleg from WP Feedback is often on. Lacey, Paul Lacey with an E, Leo, is on just about every week, and Peacher's on quite a lot. And we always finish late. And what does it say about those guests? Leo, you're responsible. We're going to finish on time. This is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much. Let's do that thing again. Thank you very much to Jan and to Dovy. Just before we finish, we always just do this. Anything exciting happening this week? What you doing? I should say,
parent.
Jan first. Go.
Yeah, learning to be a parent and spending time with my daughter.
You're going to do that in a week? Man, that's ambitious.
That's a lifetime, dude. I still don't know how to be
because I'm playing around so much,
yeah. What I know this is totally an aside, right? But we've got at least a couple of minutes. What has been your biggest discovery? Like the thing that you didn't expect that you'd be doing as a parent, that you are, in fact, doing?
Coping with little sleep so well.
Yeah. And yet everybody told you that, right?
Yeah. I
But you
had
can't
4.5 hours. I'm up since 4 a.m. But it's still I'm fine.
I remember
right now
I
you
couldn't
are.
have done that.
Let's
Yeah.
have him back in 6 weeks. See how he
Yeah.
feels that.
Yeah. I remember driving places, like going to see my parents, which is like a 3-hour drive, and getting there and thinking, I have no idea how that happened. When did I even get in the car?
Beaming.
Yeah. So
Beam me up,
Jan's.
Scotty.
So next time Jan's on, he's going to school us in how to be a parent. We're starting a new podcast, Parenting with Jan, and there's only going to be one episode because you can do it all in a week.
I was actually tinkering around with Alex from WP Dev on doing a WP Dads podcast, but that never was bound to happen.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
cool.
That is cool. Yeah. But the problem is everybody would be asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really hard.
Including the guests. Right, Dovy, what about you this week? What are you doing?
So when releasing a major release of a framework, I've found a lot of different ways in which people use my framework that I'm having to patch left and right, like directly including files that they shouldn't. So I have to add an empty file here in my repo. Yeah.
Okay, so the fun, the fun,
Joy.
Yeah. What's he saying here? This is just the beginning, Jan. Yes, indeed. I
will give one bit of feedback though. So this is just a personal observation. I find that I have worked primarily with the developer community for a long time, right? And the new version of Redux is more focused on users. And while I have loved the developer community, I am actually really impressed with the reaction of the user community. They're genuinely good, high attitude people, right? Because I don't think they have the impact that developers do. Like if I mess up and I hurt a developer, I'm affecting 1,000 of them. But if I hurt a user, it's just one site. But I'm starting to realize why I've had a bitter taste about the WordPress community versus people who make user-only products. Because I think that we as developers, if we are developers, need to be kinder to each other because it's a harder space to be to appease developers than it is to appease users.
Nice. And on that bombshell, as they say on, what is that program? Top Gear. We're going to go. I'm going to put on the slide. If you, Jan and Dovy, just stick around for a second, we'll have a quick natter. But where's my slide? Right. I'm going to say bye, everybody. See you next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.